part of it is, where do you want to go? But also part of it is, how do you want to live while you're getting there? And this is really not a single dynamic. It's not, I want to live passively. I want to live actively. I want to have a passive relationship with my real estate. I want to have an active relationship with my real estate. It's not really that simple. It really is also, what's your risk tolerance? Now, we have inside of us a natural guiding vision in our brain, or an instinct, or a gut feeling, whatever you want to call it. We have inside of us a guiding force that's already taking into account this risk time matrix. All I'm doing is giving you some distinct parameters, like literally a box, in order for you to understand, where do you want to fit? Where do you fit? Or where do you want to land? I am Christina Suter, and this is the Real Estate Breakthrough Show, where we talk about the reality of real estate, the mindset you need in order to face the reality of what it is, and tips and tricks to get you moving forward in investing. I am your host, Christina Suter. Today, I want to talk about your education, and I literally mean educating you on the process of investing in real estate. So I actually teach an educational course. I teach a mastermind course, the Live a Rich Life Mastermind course. This is directly from that course, but mostly I just want you to get the concept. It's like my map of real estate. If you can get the concept in your brain, it can be a guiding post to you as you grow in your investments in real estate, whether you're a young investor or whether you're an older investor looking to readjust your portfolio. Let's use this risk time matrix as a guide to your real estate understanding. All right, so you can see in front of you the risk time matrix, and I literally mean a risk time matrix, because when you're looking to be an investor, part of it is, what are you starting with? What capital do you have? Part of it is, where do you want to go? But also part of it is, how do you want to live while you're getting there? And this is really not a single dynamic. It's not, I want to live passively. I want to live actively. I want to have a passive relationship with my real estate. I want to have an active relationship with my real estate. It's not really that simple. It really is also, what's your risk tolerance? Now, we have inside of us a natural guiding vision in our brain, or an instinct, or a gut feeling, whatever you want to call it. We have inside of us a guiding force that's already taking into account this risk time matrix. All I'm doing is giving you some distinct parameters, like literally a box, in order for you to understand, where do you want to fit? Where do you fit? Or where do you want to land? You pick your question and your choice, but let's look at the matrix. So it starts with high time, high risk. I have a lot of time on my hands, and I'm looking to be really risky in my experience of real estate. Now, generally, in this high time, high risk, you might also not have a lot of money you're starting with, or you might have a lot of money you're starting with. But if you're looking to be high time and high risk, I generally find that people are drawn to having a job in real estate. JOB in real estate. I know investors, people who have $2 million, $3 million, who start in the field of real estate. And what comes up in our conversations isn't just that they want to develop a real estate investment portfolio for themselves, for their own growth in equity and security and future retirement goals, but they actually want to take on a job in real estate. They want to be a syndicator that takes in other people's money. They want to rehab large apartment buildings with themselves and with partners. They are looking to have, eager, drooling to have a job in real estate that challenges them and brings them forward and multiplies their returns. So high time, high risk. If you're that person, what am I suggesting you do? That you have a job in real estate. What does that job look like? It can be a flipper, multi-units, single family, industrial properties, storage units, but you're looking to flip them. You're looking to buy something that needs a value add of some kind, value add to it, and then sell it again. Or buy it, value add to it. That's the operative pieces. Flipper. Turnkey provider. You buy something, maybe you value add to it, but you prepare it for an investor at the end with a management company in place. Turnkey provider. Real estate investment trust director, otherwise known as a syndicator. They're not exactly the same, but they're similar, which is that you maybe have multiple assets under the umbrella that you have created, a company or an entity, and you have other investors that are giving you money to do that. Or maybe, and I do add this under this because if you choose to do this, it is a job. I've added into high time, high risk. Maybe the risk isn't as high for some. Direct ownership of larger properties. You might have direct ownership of 20 single families. You might have direct ownership of a 200 unit apartment buildings. You might have direct ownership over multiple storage units, and you are managing them. Do you see how the management of them has created you a job? It has saved you money or bringing you greater returns, but it has also created something where your time, high time, is being invested in changing or adding or increasing your returns, creating a higher, potentially higher risk, but potentially a higher return. High time, high risk. Now let's go to the other corner, the lower right corner. Low time, low risk. Doctor, somebody who has a job, police officer, can be a plumber. These were all people who I've either interviewed or in my real estate breakthrough show, or people that have been clients of mine, chiropractor, accountant, where they have looked at this low time because they have a job and they're low risk by their own nature. They're low risk. They're not looking for high risk because they're looking to create maybe a more secure backbone to their retirement than they feel that their job's going to allow them for. Maybe they don't feel they're going to get enough Social Security or their pension plan, or they're an entrepreneur and they're not sure their job is going, their entrepreneurship business is going to always be there for them. Low time, low risk. What do they want? They want passive investments. Low time being the operative piece. They want to be passive. Low risk being they don't really have the tolerance to want to do higher risk investments, and or the purpose of this part of their portfolio, if not all of their portfolio, is to be the backbone that steadily grows, that does not lose principal. Low time, low risk. What portfolio? What would you have in your portfolio if this is who you are as an investor? Multiple passive investments. Not one, not two. You should have, optimally you have 10 or more. Why? 10% of your portfolio would be given over to each one of these single investments. So if you want 10% of your portfolio, of your investable portfolio, given over to any investment so that no one investment is overly weighted in your portfolio and therefore puts your portfolio at higher risk, then you would have 10 passive investments or more. I know somebody who used to have 50 passive investments in their portfolio, and I hear now they have 70 passive investments in their portfolio. But at some point, it's an active passive investor. Slightly different. We'll talk more about that when we get to another square. So multiple passive investments, primarily about 10, probably not really more than 20, because you want to be able to manage it with a low amount of time and have its risk managed by the diversification, but also managed by what it's invested in. So if you can do low risk syndicated deals, then that will also mean you have safety through diversification, 10 to 20 passive investments. You're diversified there as far as no one asset outweighs too many of the others, but you also have low risk management and therefore lower risk through having low risk syndicated deals. What does that mean? You can invest in a syndicated deal, then invest in low risk assets. What does that mean? First position notes on single family residences. First position notes in flippers. Can be cash flow performing a portfolio of cash flow performing single family residences. portfolio of cash flow performing multifamily. Can be flipping of multifamily with extensive years of experience. So therefore the flip should not go wrong. 3 to 5 year timeline, minimum, preferably 5 years or more. Low risk syndication deals where you are a part investor in that deal, and that deal is a part of your portfolio. So can you see you're managing risk and you're managing your time? You can also do hard money brokering or hard money loans through a broker. Again, what you are doing is you're looking at something that they send to you. It takes you 5 hours to do your due diligence on it. It takes me 5 hours. Now, I'm a little bit of a geek when it comes to due diligence, so it might take 5 to 7 hours, but other people might take 3 to 5 hours. Some people are like, yeah, whatever they send me, I'm going to sign off on because I've had so much success with them. That's something else. So hard money with a broker, having 10 to 20, so your portfolio is divided, there's no more than 10% in any one of these hard money loans. It's being managed by a broker, so therefore you pay attention to upfront, you confirm that you get your paycheck every month, and then when it pays out, your broker is the one who manages the payout. Hard money through a broker. And you want to have some diversification, that you want to be 10 to 20, you don't really want to be 50 to 70. So we have high time, high risk. We have low time, low risk. Now, not everybody fits in these two quadrants, do they? High time, high risk, that's a JOB. That's somebody who wants to be living, sleeping, breathing, whatever else, real estate. This is somebody who's got a JOB or who's looking to just simply not have a JOB of any kind, and they want to be low time, low risk. But that's not everybody, is it? So let's talk about high time, low risk. High time, I am retired, I don't have a JOB, or my JOB is not complicated. So I have a high amount of time to invest in my real estate investing. My time is my investment, but I'm not really interested in taking on a lot of risk. So what does it mean? It means that I'm doing low risk syndicated deals, but maybe dividing my portfolio into greater segments than just 10 to 20 investments at a time. Maybe I have 50 to 70 investments, right? That is definitely an active, passive investor that I started talking about before, where you are managing, you have so many syndicated deals inside of your portfolio that managing the management of those takes time. That's a high level of diversification. Maybe I have 30 investments, but they're in single family, multifamily, storage units, gold, ATMs, oil, stocks. I can have multiples of each one of those in multiple different states. That allows for a high level of diversification. And I have the high time to focus on the high level of diversification, again, managing my risk. I also can buy performing notes, and I can process those notes, manage those notes on my own because they're performing notes. I don't need to chase down making them performing. That doesn't take a lot of risk because they are already performing, but I can manage the note and make sure the payments come in. Or I might do hard money loans, again, being my own broker, where I manage the money, but they're longer term notes, they're longer term, they're lower risk. First position on a primary residence, multiples of those. First position where I'm to my nephew, which first position to 3 years or 5 year long notes on projects that are longer term and therefore are not necessarily high risk value add flips. You can see how you can be high time and spend that time managing risk, making the portfolio an even lower risk, but also choosing lower risk assets inside the portfolio itself. Okay, I've covered 3 of 4 quadrants. Quadrant number 4, low time, high risk. Low time, but I want to have risk. I am looking to be risky. I enjoy being risky, but I don't have a lot of time to do it. So you're not talking about JOB, but you are talking about choosing higher risk assets inside the portfolio, right? I've talked about your time. Here's the component, guys. I can control my time, but I can also control the risk inherent in the asset itself. So I keep talking about that. High time, the risk of the asset itself that I'm investing in. I can use my time to mitigate risk, but I also can use the asset that I choose to mitigate my risk as well. Low time, high risk. What am I looking for? If I'm looking for low time, high risk, I'm clearly looking for passive investments that don't require a lot of my time, but the investment itself is in a higher risk, potentially higher return asset. High risk syndication deals. There are whole portfolios and syndicators that offer second position notes. The whole portfolio is in a second position notes, which are considered higher risk, or portfolio of non-performing notes that are being made performing. That is two examples of higher risk syndication deals. Deals moving into new markets. Costa Rica, Belize, to me, are higher risk syndication deals. You're moving out of country into countries that don't have as stabilized a government as the US. Not that they don't, but just not quite as stabilized as the US itself. I consider those higher risk syndication deals, which come with higher returns. Hard money with a broker, but again, that hard money could be in second or third position to flippers that are doing high-end flips in Los Angeles. But because you're second position or even third position, you are definitely in a higher risk position, but you're also getting a higher return. Direct ownership of a property with management. Now, again, I love owning properties, so I don't know that owning a property with a manager is that high risk, but some properties themselves are higher risk properties, especially if you're learning to really work through your management team to try to do your own value add on that property. So direct ownership with a manager can fall under a variety. I don't consider it very risky, but it doesn't really fall under pure low time, low risk. So I've tried to give you some distinct boxes to understand what lifestyle do you want to be living while you're investing in real estate. You have it in your brain already. You have that thought, that vision in your head that tells you which lifestyle you want to be living. I've just given you the guidelines for what assets should exist or what assets you should be seeking or what types of ownership or positions of ownership you should have in relationship to your assets based upon your risk time matrix. My name is Christina Suter. Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Breakthrough Show. You can find me at Christina Suter, SUTER.com. Tune in next week for another educational show.